my channel, Mondays with Murray. This week's video is going to be, come on, okay. Good boy. Okay, so if you are like us and live near South Carolina or in South Carolina, then you probably know that the winters are normally pretty mild. But that being said, it still gets pretty cold. We're expecting to get into the lower 20s for next week. Oh, okay. Hi, baby. And I want to be sure all my animals are ready for this cold weather. For starters, I'm going to show how I keep my bunny rabbits warm. Fun fact about rabbits, they actually thrive in cold weather. It's when it gets above 80 degrees that you have to start worrying. So most people panic with the rabbits in the winter, but actually you should be panicking in the summer because they literally can thrive in negative temperatures. My rabbits, it'll be 30 degrees outside and I'll wake up and take Murray out and they will be out here literally hopping around, living their best life. Now, that being said, you still do want to make sure they have a warm place to go in case they do get a little cold. But rabbits have a super thick coat, so they're able to stay super warm in the winter. Okay, one of the biggest things that helps keep all of my animals warm is keeping a clean home for them to live in. Okay, tip 2 for keeping your rabbits warm this winter is to make sure they have hay in their hay racks. My favorite for Poppie and Dazie and Grace is the Western Oxbow Timothy hay. It's their favorite, and I really like it. Now, that being said, I do have allergies to hay, but this one doesn't seem to affect me as bad as some other hays have. Next thing to keeping your rabbits warm this winter is to make sure they have fresh water. I like to try to make sure I have like water bowl materials that won't bust. This one is plastic, but it's Grace's favorite, but it does have a stainless steel little tip down here at the bottom, so I'm hoping that will help prevent it from freezing and busting. I haven't had any rabbit water bowls bust yet, but I try to make sure I get stainless steel so they don't bust because stainless steel keeps them from busting in the winter and keeps them cold in the summer. This is a stainless steel bowl that Poppie and Dazie use. Grace has a little gravity feeder over there like I showed y'all, but I really like this one because it prevents it from busting if it does freeze solid when it gets cold. And this is new for Poppie and Dazie. Grace has had this before, but keeping like straw is one of the biggest things to help with your animals, keeping them warm because it insulates a lot better than shavings will. Shockingly, it does tend to make a bigger mess, but the rabbits love to eat on it too, so it's just really good for them all around. I also put a bunch of straw and hay in Grace's house as well. Okay, and the last thing is one of the most obvious, but it's one of the most important, and that is keeping food on hand, making sure your rabbits are fed daily. When your rabbits are fed, it's going to provide them the nutrients they need to build up the warmth to stay warm this winter. And that is how I keep Poppie and Dazie and Grace warm in the winter. Okay, next up is how I keep Sam warm in the winter. Okay, Sam is super picky when it comes to preparing him for the winter. Last year, I put cardboard over his house and cut a hole out of it so he could get in and out to prevent the wind from really messing with him at night. But he didn't like that, so I'm not doing it this year. But he does have 2 beds. This one he likes to lay in, and then this big bed would lay out all over his doghouse last year, but he insisted on ripping it up, and now there's just stuffing everywhere. So I put some straw back there. And if it gets extra cold, I will put sweaters on him. He does have a thicker one than this. And then I also make sure he has a stainless steel bowl. And be sure that you feed your dogs as well, because same with the rabbits. If you feed them, that's going to give them the nutrients they need to stay warm this winter. And that is how I keep Sam warm for the winter. Next is how I keep my chickens warm for the winter. Okay, since the chickens are fairly new to me, I'm still kind of struggling on figuring out how to keep them warm for the winter. But what I've been doing... Oh my goodness, are you going to be loud? So I put straw and shavings in there, and if you have chickens, you know that they like to just make a mess of everything. They went in there and just scraped all the shavings and hay into one pile. But I did put shavings and hay in there, and I'll put all of them in the coop at night and shut the door. And then I have glass paneled windows, and I'll pull the glass down to make sure that no air can get in. And I also put cardboard grits. Hello. Come here. What are you doing? I also put cardboard on the back door so no air can pull through. And I also have a waterer back there so they can get water while they're in the coop. And if it gets super cold, I'm going to take their heater and put it over their waters to prevent them from freezing. And like the rabbits and Sam, I make sure they have food and make sure they have a clean pen because those are all going to help with keeping them warm in the winter. You can also give your chickens like vegetables and treats to make it more fun because in the winter the grass tends to die out and it makes it a little dull for them. So to brighten it up, you can get lettuce from the store and throw it in your coop and it will give them tons of enrichment for the winter. And that is how I keep my chickens warm for the winter. Okay, and last but not least is our cats. They sleep in this at night. Now, my cats are really funny. They, for some unknown reason, do not like sleeping in this. They want to fight over the top, but one of them will normally sleep on the top, one of them will sleep inside, and then like all my other animals, I make sure they have food and water. And just a disclaimer, I'm not a professional at any of this. This is just my take on what my animals like and how I found is the best way to keep all of them warm for the winter. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and like for all things dog and animal, and stay tuned for my next video on Monday.